Hello and welcome to Macy Cooks. Spaghetti, lasagna, chicken Alfredo, Kraft mac and cheese. There is one side dish that jazzes all of those up. Garlic bread. There's just nothing better. Good deal. I love that pre-made garlic bread that you get in the freezer section that you put on a baking sheet and you pop it in the oven frozen. It's a comfort food, I'm not even gonna lie. But today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to make fresh garlic bread at home. P.S. There's a secret ingredient. It's trees. Today, we're making Parmesan garlic bread. To begin, please warm 1/2 cup of whole milk and also 1/4 cup of water. To our wet ingredients, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar, as well as 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast. Set that aside and let it get yeasty. Moving on to the dry. In a large bowl, please add 2 cups of all-purpose flour and a pinch of salt. Next up, please add 1 1/2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Now, right off the bat, you're judging this recipe. You're thinking, Macy, that's not nearly enough garlic for garlic bread. You're right, it's nowhere near enough. And that's why we're gonna use garlic in 3 different ways. Garlic is a pretty incredible ingredient. The reason we're going to be using it in 3 different ways is because garlic contains a compound called allicin. And allicin is responsible for that very unique spicy garlic flavor. Now, the more that you alter garlic, the more allicin is released. So for example, if you were to take this and pulverize it with a mortar and pestle, it would release more allicin than for, say example, if you were just to slice it. So by using garlic in 3 different ways, we are ensuring that our garlic bread is going to be more dynamic and have a more robust flavor. To your flour, you are going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter that has had 2 garlic cloves minced and added. Now, by adding the minced garlic to that butter, I am releasing the garlic flavor and essentially enriching the butter with the flavor of garlic. I don't think it gets much better than infused garlic butter. Lastly, to our dry ingredients, we are going to add 6 ounces of Parmesan Reggiano. I don't mind if you use the cheaper Parmesan, like the kind that's in the shaker, but just know that the flavor is going to be a little bit different. I don't have a problem with that type of pre-grated Parm at all. In fact, I love it on spaghetti. But with a recipe that is super cheese forward or Parmesan forward, I just feel like you should get the best that you can. I think that it enhances the ultimate flavor of the bread. But if you want to use it, that's totally fine. Just know that it's a little bit saltier, so I might back it down just a little bit, maybe like 5 ounces. To the dry, we are now going to add our 1/2 cup of milk, our 1/4 cup of water, our yeast, and our sugar. Give your dough a mix and try to get it mostly incorporated using the spatula. It's just a little less messy that way. Once a shaggy dough begins to form, switch over to your hand and incorporate the rest of the way. If you notice that your dough is seeming a little bit dry, like mine is right here, feel free to add up to 1/4 cup of warm water, but don't pour the whole 1/4 in all at once. Just start incorporating it until you get it to the desired consistency. Once it has formed a sticky, cheesy, garlicky ball, you're going to turn it out onto a floured work surface, and we're going to knead it for about 5 minutes. Using both of your hands, alternate from left and right by pulling from the outside inward and pushing in with the butt of your hand. Once you have Once you've kneaded for 5 minutes, you should be rewarded with this absolute little wonder. It's tight, it's dense, it's warm, and also it is speckled with little garlic cloves poking out saying, "Hey, how's it going?" I don't think that's what garlic would sound like. Let's try again. All these little garlic cloves saying, "Hey, how's it going?" That didn't seem right either. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to mouth the words, "Hey, how's it going?" And then I'll just take the sound out and you just put in the voice in your head that you think garlic should make. Okay, in 3, 2. We're gonna put this into a bowl, cover it up, leave it alone, and let it rise for about an hour. Okay, while we're waiting, let's do a couple things. Oh yeah, before I forget. When we were talking about Parmesan a little ways back, I should have mentioned that there is another benefit to grating your own, which is that when you get down to the rind, which there's obviously a little cheese left on mine, but when you get down to the rind, save it and don't throw it away. When you're making a marinara or a pasta sauce, you can shove this little guy down in there, cover him up all nice and sweetly, and let it stew in there. It'll give your sauce a really cheesy, nutty, and just dynamic flavor. All about being dynamic this video, okay? Dynamic, 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 dynamic. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 375. That's the other thing. Put some parchment paper on your baking sheet, and then let's go ahead and work on the topping, shall we? Well, it's not really a topping, it's more of a spread. To this ramekin that I am now currently breathing into, I've added 2 tablespoons of butter and also 3 cloves of garlic. You'll notice I haven't minced them or sliced them in any way. And that's because what we're about to do is pretty cool. Take a teeny tiny little piece of salt because, again, this is already going to be a salty bread if you've added, you know, powdered Parmesan. Tiny bit of salt. You're adding that to be sort of like an abrasive partner to your mortar and pestle or your muddler, if that's what you have. All right, using your muddler or maybe the back of a wooden spoon or any implement you have that might be shaped similar to this. Okay, well, not anything that you might have. Take it and start pressing down on the butter and the garlic, squishing it up, just pulverizing it. Once your butter and garlic has been sufficiently pulverized, add about a tablespoon of freshly minced Italian parsley. And then mix it up thoroughly. For the love of Spam, I wish you could smell this. It's making me feel like Superstar. It's like that. Look, I didn't ask you to come watch these videos. I know they're cringy, and that's why I didn't force you to do it. So it's been 40 minutes and she's ready. She's hefty, so if yours finishes up a little early, that's fine too. We're gonna go ahead and shape it. Side note, we're gonna shape this like a French loaf. Now, this recipe is way more enriched than a classic French loaf. Traditional French loaves don't have milk or that added butter. But I wanted it to be shaped like a French loaf so that we can slice it on the bias and then butter it and toast it. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we have it on the counter is we're going to begin to roll it out into a, well, loaf shape. I like that the traditional French loaf has the tapered edges, so I am going to taper mine. You don't have to do that. That's kind of your call. It's whatever you want to do. Once you have it shaped, transfer it over to either a silpat or parchment-lined baking sheet, and then let it sit for about 30 minutes covered. 'Tis ready. I know, you're impressed already. Transfer it into a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes. Very, very carefully, I've transferred this hot loaf over onto a cutting board, and we're now going to slice it on the bias and then transfer those slices over to the baking sheet. Switch over your oven from bake to broil, and then come on over here so I can show you the next step. Take a little bit of the butter and then just smear that over the top of the warm bread. Oh my gosh, can you hear the crispiness of this crust? Once they have all been topped, transfer them into the broiler and let them broil until they are golden brown and perfect. Are y'all ready to see this? I mean, seriously, just look. Do you see the toastiness, the butteriness, the garlickiness, and the parsley? To start off, the smell is amazing. You're definitely getting that cheesiness, the garlickiness, the butter, the crispness. I mean, you can smell the toastiness. So let's give it a try. I'm ashamed to say, I don't think this is gonna make it to dinner. Well, I mean, this is gonna be dinner. Because we use that garlic in 3 different ways, we really brought out all the best parts of garlic. And then making that spread to put on the top at the end gave it just one last punch of garlicky, buttery flavor. And because we only broiled it for like a minute to a minute 30, the parsley didn't scorch, and so you're getting that fresh, herby flavor. This is a dang good garlic bread, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. There you go. With just a few simple ingredients and a little bit of time, you can make your own garlic bread at home. I'll tell you, the truth is in the toastiness. Get baking, y'all.